Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and I'm so ready to get messy. All right, today I am literally working on one of the very last pages left in my art journal. There are, I don't know, a handful here at the end that I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to finish out those because they're kind of towards the end, but I have this one here in the middle. Yes, this page is upside down because one time I opened my art journal upside down and apparently used it anyway. So I have a few entries in here like this one that are upside down, but I assure you the rest are right side up. I just want to fill in this page because it looks sad and lonely here by itself. So we're going to do kind of a quickie art journal page. I've got some acrylics pulled out and we're just going to see what happens. I want it to make sense with this one. So that's why we're going with these colors and we'll kind of see what we can come up with from there. So all of that to say, I will end up putting you guys on fast forward. I will link the things that I use down below. Let's go. All right, so the first thing I did was take these two really wide pieces of washi and mark off the edges. Planning on doing this vertical look. This has been something I've been kind of into recently, having like a line across the page, either horizontal or vertical, that just draws your eye to the center of the page. And I'm taking the colors, the blue and the purple, the light blue and the dark blue, because it's picking up the colors from the other side. And even though these two pages don't necessarily, they're not intended to go together, there's not a message between them, I do want them to sort of complement each other visually since they are right next to each other. It is funny that one is upside down. That's just how life happens in an art journal, and I kind of find it extra charming because art journals are for making mistakes and for having fun and for celebrating the process. These were never intended to be pieces of work that you frame forever. It's just something, it's a fun, creative experiment. So I think it's pretty much hilarious that the next page is upside down. And I also think it'd be funny to kind of go back and forth. And maybe the next art journal I do, I will just continue to turn the book around and around, and there will be no right side up or upside down. So obviously I am filling in that middle section pretty solidly with all of the different acrylic paints. I'm just trying to make sure there you can see the brush strokes because I want it to have the feeling of movement up and down, almost like it's being drawn up. Once I am done with that, then I will very carefully and slowly remove the washi tape. You get a very cool crisp line. I love that look. There was a time period that I was doing lots of this washi tape border around pages, like matting pages and doing this paint technique similar around the washi. And I just think it turns into a very cool look. So I dried that off screen, jumping ahead. Now this is a stencil that I had in my stash, and we're going to come with some Distress Oxide ink. I'm doing the Prize Ribbon color, and we're going to add this border around the edge of the painted section. It's going to soften the section ever so slightly, and I'm just going to very carefully fill in. I want it to be a pretty solid fill because that dark blue, I want it to carry over so that you don't have quite such the stark line. It is a stark line. There is a line there, but it's not quite so stark when you add this floral edge. I started with the piece in the middle, knowing that I was going to add one on either end just so that it would fill up the whole page. And we're going to do the same thing on both sides. I did prep the stencil in advance with some pixie spray. If you haven't heard of that, that is spray that you can put on the back of your stencil. You kind of wave it, let it dry for a few seconds, and place it on your page. It keeps it really secure on the page. That way you get a very crisp look to your stenciling and your blending on the page. I've had people ask, does it leave a residue? I've never noticed anything. It's never bugged me. It washes off when I clean my stencils after the fact. So it's a tool that I use a lot of the time when I'm doing stenciling. All right, once we finish over here, I'm super pleased with this as kind of the background look for the page. And then the next thing I want to do is find something that I can use as a focal point on the page. It's always a very important element. Sometimes I start with a focal point. In this case, I was really inspired by a background to start with, and now I'm going to see what I can find as a focal point. This girl is super beautiful. I'm actually looking through some Jane Davenport scrapbook paper. I like her a lot, but the top of her head is flattened off, and I don't think I can make that work. This girl, on the other hand, yes, she will do really nicely because I can connect her to the next page pretty easily. So I'm going to trim her out, fussy cut. This took a hot second because, of course, it's a hand-drawn look, and I want it to fit on the page and look like it belongs to the page. So I tried to fussy cut pretty darn close to where all of the lines were, and it took me a hot second to get it done. But I love adding these really impactful elements. I love the artwork of Jane Davenport. She is very inspiring to me. And so why not use some of her gorgeous page elements to add some gorgeous, I don't know, some nice focal points to my page. So this girl, it looks like she's kind of popping out from the chevrons that are on the right. We're going to have her in this rush of blue, almost like a waterfall. I'm kind of thinking it's like a creative waterfall in a way, and that'll make more sense once I add a quote in here. But I'm going to be pretty generous with the adhesive so that it will stick on top of the acrylic paint. Sometimes Tombow adhesive, not the stickiest with acrylic paint because it has a little bit of a sheen to it, the acrylic. So I want to make sure everything is going to stick really well. So tons of adhesive, and then see how she fits so nicely in that corner. And you have the background behind her. I just think it comes together really well. And now I'm going to use this particular quote, "Make time for your art." Always something that I try to keep in mind. Even as someone that has a creative job, making time for my own personal art can be difficult. And I know we all kind of struggle with that. We all have responsibilities, things we're supposed to be doing in life, adulting things, all of that, volunteering, working, family, but making time for our own creativity really opens the floodgates for inspiration and for that creativity to grow. And if you haven't been able to make the time recently, then it can kind of feel like it's just trickling. Like it doesn't feel like floodgates at all. It can take a while for that creativity to warm up. So for me, it's important to reserve that time on a regular basis because it's almost like a workout. It's a muscle that you can work and increase and make stronger over time. And that's how I feel about my creativity. So remembering to make time for my art, very important to me. All right, along the edge, I have this kind of paint pen-esque piece, and I honestly, it's a Spectrum pen, and it has a really fine glitter to it, and it's like painting with a really light pixie kind of glitter, and I'm going around the edge of these florals. It's causing them to bleed because, of course, I use Distress Oxide. I love that look, how it just, again, softens the edge. It's something I do in a lot of different parts of my crafting. I do it all the time in my memory keeping as well, and I think it looks pretty darn cool to pull out the color and allow it to just bleed over here on the side. So that's what I'm going to do, and it adds a little bit of sparkle to the page, which for me, that's never a poor choice. So we're going to go all the way around, add some sparkle kind of across the whole spread, and then I'm going to even bring in a little bit of dark blue down the gutter of the page just so it frames in and connects even more with the page next to it. And that's going to be it for this art journaling spread. Let me know what you think. It was simple, and I can't believe that I am wrapping up this art journal. Stay tuned. There will be a flip through coming in the next, few weeks as soon as I have time to film one so that you can see this full art journal. I think it took me 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. It was a journey to fill this one, and I'm super excited to share it with you. I want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. Thank you all so much for all of your support. If you want to check out Patreon, there's a ton of fun stuff over there, a ton of extra content, and a lot of crafty, creative community, and we would love to have you. So check out the link for that in the description box below. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day, and as always, keep it creative.